Good evening, everybody. I hope you all have had an absolutely wonderful day so far, whatever time of day it is. I hope you're having a great day. First and foremost, my name is James Goss. Welcome to the channel. Uh, if you're already a subscriber, you've seen that my channel's been dark for like 8 months now, maybe even longer than that. The channel's based on entrepreneurship, kind of my business journey, growing into what I would like to do. I have some businesses on the side, which if you go through my videos, you'll see I have a kettle corn side hustle, that type of stuff. If you're new to the channel here, uh, obviously, as the title of this video probably says, I'm going to be going into my first year as a commercial real estate agent. So that's the purpose of this video here, and you'll see there'll be a lot more content coming on my channel about my journey as a real estate agent. Hopefully, we're going to get into real estate development and additional things, but all in due time. So today, I just want to really come back to the channel, hopefully be able to provide some value for somebody who's considering getting into commercial real estate, and give you my perspective from coming from a boutique brokerage. So I want to talk about how I got into the brokerage, what drew me to commercial real estate, and what experience I've had so far. But I'm just going to cut to the chase and preface right away by saying, if you're coming here looking for, some awesome tips to clear $500,000 this year, you are definitely not on the right video. Unfortunately, I wish that you were in the right place. But what I'm going to do is talk about my experience in my first year as a commercial real estate agent. And I'll tell you right now, I have lost money being a commercial real estate agent this year. Thankfully, I have other businesses and other forms of income that have been, keeping me able to continue to chase commercial real estate and learn this industry, because I see the writing on the wall, as I'll get into in this video. It's a lot about networking. It's a lot about connections and knowing what's going on and knowing your market. But really what everyone told me in the very beginning, which is like, you really got to be able to ride it out for like 1 to 3 years, in order to build the network and know the people you need to know, and also have the knowledge and understanding of how to do this, especially if you're like me. I didn't go to school at all, much less did I go get anything related to commercial real estate, or business or anything like that. So again, I do have a business background, because I've tried to start low barrier to entry businesses and grow those businesses, and shift them into other things. And now here I sit as a commercial real estate agent. I'm proud of that. I'm happy for that. And I really do love this industry. So this video is not to shy anybody away from the commercial real estate industry at all. What I'm trying to do here is tell you my genuine, honest experience, as a first year commercial agent. So first and foremost, my market is somewhat maybe unique. Obviously, every market is very different. So your experience may be totally different in whatever market it is that you're in. Specifically, I'm in Maryland. I'm in a sub-market of Washington, D.C. It's not a very far drive to get to D.C., depending on your definition of far drive. It's about an hour. But we're still more rural, if you will. And so basically Frederick, if you ever heard of Frederick, Maryland, smaller. It's the second biggest city in Maryland, incorporated city in Maryland, but still, somewhat of a small town-ish mentality. There's not as many of these big corporate players that you see in much larger cities, and so it is somewhat of a unique market. And so, yeah, first and foremost, I'll give you a little bit about my background and why I'm in commercial real estate now. So I used to work for a commercial renovation company. I was a salesman. I started out as a salesman. I ended up being the COO of that company. The owner passed away, a good friend and mentor to me. And he always said, the previous owner of that company always said to me, commercial's where it's at. He was talking about renovations, not real estate. But he would always say, commercial is definitely where it's at. You don't want to have hairy homeowner breathing down your neck. And it really is a totally different animal than doing like residential. And I found the same thing is true for real estate, at least in my experience and opinion. I much prefer the commercial world to the residential world, and I think a lot of that has to do with my personality, and really enjoying learning about other businesses, meeting other business owners. There's a ton of that in commercial real estate. Obviously, a lot of these people are business owners, Now, there's totally people that are just strictly real estate investors, but at least a lot of what I'm seeing is business owners that are, getting an additional location, moving locations, needing a new spot for whatever reason. So it's a lot of working with businesses. So I love that aspect. You get to learn about other people's businesses. And again, you'll probably hear me say this a lot, but learning by osmosis, just being around it, you pick things up. So that's been something that I've really loved in commercial, is that you get to work with other business owners. As a small business owner, I think it's awesome, and I really, really do enjoy, helping other entrepreneurs and trying to, do the best I possibly can for them. So that's really how I got into commercial real estate. We'll talk about how I actually got into my brokerage, and I'll tell you a little bit about the brokerage that I'm at. When I started there was my broker, and then he had two agents working under him who really double as office manager and assistants on his deals. They really weren't and really are not bringing in too much of their own business. One of those agents, unfortunately, he couldn't even keep that agent on. And so, that may be a testament to how the market is. But so we are now, it's me, my broker, and then another agent who is a paid employee. So, but also an agent as well. So that's something I guess we should start with. Basically, as I mentioned, I have other businesses. One of those is a kettle corn side hustle, if you will. And I was looking for a commercial retail space to potentially have a storefront and a place to pop the popcorn at. And I saw a space in Frederick. I've always loved Frederick. Saw a space in Frederick represented by Frederick Commercial Real Estate. At the time, I'd already had my real estate license and was a residential agent, never did a deal years before this. With the logic that I should become an agent because a lot of my friends were buying houses at the time, and I always knew I wanted to be involved in real estate in some way, shape, or form, so I figured I'd get the license. I let that license lapse, and then I realized again, it's time to get back into real estate. This is something I really want to do. I'm not going to let go of that. So I unfortunately let the license expire, had to retake the entire course. But I was basically looking for space for the kettle corn thing. I came across Frederick Commercial Real Estate. I reached out to the broker. He was kind enough to let me come in, introduce myself, and I asked if I could work as a broker or as an agent. Excuse me. In Maryland, you're an agent working under a broker. In some states, you are immediately a real estate broker. Same general idea. You have a license to sell real estate for other people or represent them. So basically, I asked him at that point. I told him about my background in commercial renovations, so I was at least familiar with working in a commercial setting when you're dealing with these larger landlords and property owners and that type of stuff. So I was familiar with a lot of that side. Obviously not familiar at all with the buying and selling process, but I did have a marketing background and a sales background, which really at the end of the day, this is sales and marketing. So I thought I could do well, and I asked if he'd be willing to give me a shot. At that point, he said, "Look, I'm not able to pay you at all. This is a commission-only job, but if you want to come in here, try to learn the business." And he told me right off the bat, you're probably not going to see any real returns for 1 to 3 years. That was like always the number that I heard. But anyway, so obviously the rest is history. I signed on there. One of the first things that I'll mention that I learned was originally, and the same way I did it in residential, which obviously didn't work for me. I was like, well, this is great. I'll do this on the side. I'll try to network and do my thing. And I won't go into the office all the time. I'll go into the office 1 day a week, 2 days a week, whatever. Learn what I can. I personally haven't had the experience that worked at all. So of course I'm also working on other businesses. I can't be in the office, 24/7 full time. But I do go in every single day. And I did realize, it took me about 3 months to realize I need to be in here every single day, because not only is there new things that are happening, new deals that are available that come across my broker's plate, which again, he's been very kind with you know, always giving me the opportunity. Hey, can you find a buyer for this, or can you market this on my behalf, or whatever. He's really really a good team atmosphere where it doesn't necessarily feel like, even though he's the broker or the representing agent, like really it is a big collaborative effort to get these things sold. So it's been a really good experience from that end. Anyway, totally lost my train of thought there. Probably wasn't important. So yeah, okay. So yeah, I was talking about my brokerage again. It's a smaller brokerage, what they call like a boutique brokerage. And there was four of us. Now there's three of us. And when I came in there, he basically said, "This is a commission only job." And I said, "Of course." And again, at that time, I didn't even realize that like there was opportunities within commercial real estate for really a paid job, which I would still argue that really most of these positions are not paid positions. If you're going to get into commercial real estate, chances are you're going to be only commission based. Now, sometimes maybe if you have a better background, you can get into a situation where they'll pay you a set salary, and then as you earn commissions, you pay that salary back, and then as your commission numbers go over that set salary, then you start earning additional icing on the cake. But that's not the situation I'm in. It's commission only. You bring a deal, you make money. You don't, you starve. And I'll tell you right now, I would have definitely be starving if I didn't have other forms of income at this exact moment. So I think, important thing to mention as well. A lot of these videos that I've seen, people talk about picking a niche, and let's talk about a couple of different niches within commercial real estate, like industrial. You got multifamily, you got retail, you got restaurants, you got like flex space. There's a ton of different niches that you can dive into and learn. I do recommend, to a point, niching down. Now, like, take my recommendation for what you will, but I do think that it's a huge broad spectrum. So here's what I've done, and the way we've niched down is, instead of saying we're going to do only industrial or only multifamily, we've said, okay, we're going to take Frederick as a whole, so our small submarket of Washington, D.C., we're going to take Frederick, and that's going to be our niche, and we're going to just be generalists within that market. So I think that's good, because we know a lot of things that's going around in Frederick. I know my broker has, he knows nearly everyone, like, it's a big, small town, as like I always say. And he knows a lot of these big players, and he knows how to get things done, knows who might be interested in properties and all that good stuff. So it's a lot of learning on that side, but keep in mind, if you are going to be a generalist, which I do think is possible, he clearly does it, and I'm working on doing it as well. It is a lot more to learn. So you get kind of more of a broad overview of of a bunch of different types of commercial real estate, instead of being like the end all be all industry expert on multifamilies or what have you. So I do think picking a niche is important, but I also think that you can niche down in your particular sub-market, depending on the situation. And again, I think this is going to really depend on what kind of brokerage you're working for. If you go to one of these bigger brokerages, number one, they're probably going to have a sales and training program that when you come in, you're going to learn a lot about commercial real estate. Me coming into a boutique brokerage with essentially a newer broker, who has a lot of connections and is a super whip smart kind of guy, still there isn't like a training program at all. And this again is somewhat of a ground up business build that I'm a part of here as well, because really he didn't have any marketing experience at all, and when he first started the brokerage, deals were really just coming to him, because his family had a background in commercial real estate, and he just has a lot of connections in the area. So there wasn't really a need to do like a whole ton of outreach, and now we're in a very different market. Now that I've jumped in, of course, there's no money to be made. But all jokes aside, it is imperative now that we do marketing, and so I'm part. It's fun because I get to be a part of building a system and building a business, which is something I really enjoy. But at the same time, it certainly would have been great to have more of a game plan kind of going into it, because when I first came in, I said like, okay, so how do you get clients? And basically the response was like, the phone rings, And so it's really been on me to kind of learn the ropes, see how you find potential deals, how you find potential clients, and try to bring the two together. Um, so a lot of that has been trial and error, mostly mostly errors. Um, and so, but yeah, it's one of those things where if you go to a smaller brokerage, chances are there's not going to be like a training program that you're going to go through, and you really, you're basically in the fire as soon as you start, which is good for like somebody like me or whatever. Like I do enjoy that type of thing, but also, yeah, having some direction I do think is hugely beneficial. I will throw like a quick plug. I don't even know this guy's channel. I'll try to drop it in like a link or a comment, but. Brady Collier, I believe is his name. I forget what the channel is called, but they did a really excellent, basically what they said is they're a brokerage out of Texas, and they put their commercial real estate training into, video form, as opposed to just like teaching each new agent. And they put it into a podcast form, and then they put it out online for everybody to see. So number one, Brady, if you ever see this, thank you. It's hugely beneficial. To see a sales and marketing training through the eyes of a commercial broker. So I do highly recommend if you're in a situation like me where you're not going to come into a brokerage that has a set sales training program and like really a rundown of how this industry works, Brady can save you a ridiculous amount of time, and I wish I would have come across these videos a lot sooner than I did. But I did get to a point at some point where I was just like, all right, I have got to figure out what other people are doing because I'm not learning what I need to learn. Despite that, I do really enjoy where I work, and I really do like my broker. I wasn't getting the skills that I needed, and I still don't have. I'm still dialing them and still learning as I can. So obviously, learning your market is going to be a huge factor. Knowing as much as you possibly can about what's going on, and who's interested in your market, who's interested in coming to your market, who may be interested in even leaving your market. Maybe you can sell their property, but literally immersing yourself as much as possible. So the ways I've gone about doing that, Chamber of Commerce meetings, I've done a lot of those networking events through the Chamber of Commerce. Most of the time, any decent sized city is going to have like economic development or, maybe even city government, but I go to economic development meetings, I go to Affordable Housing Commission meetings, really just any type of meeting that you can go to is beneficial for you to go to and soak up as much as you possibly can. Because I've gone to things like the Affordable Housing Commission, for example, and I've learned things that like I wasn't going there knowing what to expect or what I was going to learn, but I walked out of there with knowledge that I certainly would have never had if I didn't go to those meetings. So finding ways to get involved in your community and finding out what's going on, and just by default, you're going to start meeting the people that you need to meet to make this a successful journey, or at least I'd like to think. So learning the market is super important. Learning about your vacancy rates, that's going to be a huge thing here, because as you've probably seen, there's a lot of doom and gloom around commercial real estate. My market isn't super affected by that at this current moment. Who knows how it'll be moving forward, but is there a lot of vacancies in your area? Like basically what are your market trends? What's going on in your particular market that you're going to be jumping into? So super important. And then of course, values. You have to understand values and what things are trading for, or it's really easy to make a fool of yourself and make it extremely clear that you don't know what you're doing. So try to understand property values using things like LoopNet, which is like available to anybody. Now when you get on the brokerage side, you'll have access to other tools, but a good way, if you're still on the fence about getting into commercial, like look at LoopNet. That is a really great resource for anybody looking into commercial real estate, and it gives you a great idea of what's available in your market, what these things are trading for, and just gives you a good overview. So I definitely recommend learning as much as you can about the market. And again, I think a lot of that is knowing the people that are involved in the market, doing the networking things. I'm now a member of the Rotary Club, which I think has been great. That's been really good networking, and it's also a really good opportunity to give back to the community. So just finding ways to be involved with the people that are making, things happen in your community is absolutely huge. Again, I would like to hope So building a client base is hugely important, something I'm still obviously working on, something I think I'm totally lacking on, and I would like to say, like, a great place to start, I think, is start with a CRM. Previous jobs I've had, we did use a CRM. Coming into a small brokerage, again, with a broker who isn't really familiar with, the basic fundamentals of marketing, we don't have a CRM. I'm trying to keep track on like spreadsheet type deals, doing a terrible job with that, not anywhere near where I should be. So start when you are building this network. I highly recommend. Don't spend your first year just fumbling around like a fool, like I did. Get that CRM and start keeping track of things, because there's already been times where, I'll be representing somebody on another property. I'll meet a potential buyer, for whatever reason that deal hasn't worked out, but they've told me what they're looking for. I'll come across another opportunity that, like, man, I wish I could remember what that guy's name was. Like, how stupid is that? That's leaving money on the table. So learn from my experience and, don't make that same mistake. Start with the CRM, keep good notes and good track of every conversation you have, because, it's exciting. You're having these conversations. You want to be on the ball. You don't want to, like, sit there and, dabble a bunch of notes, but it's really important. So do keep a CRM, keep a customer base, and start building that network like immediately, because now I'm behind the curve, and unfortunately I wasted a lot of time just not doing a good job keeping track of who I need to keep track of. So that's a big part of building a client base. Finding the valuable connections, finding who the movers and shakers in your industry are. Is it people? Is it companies? And finding ways to get in with them, find out what they do and who they're doing it with, and just try to be a part of that. Now, like, again, my broker, he knows a lot of people in my area, and he's been really good to me as far as like bringing me to these things where, like, hands down, this is something I always harp on as well. Being the brokest person in the room is not necessarily a bad thing. It may hurt your pride, but like all of these things that I'm going to, I'm definitely the brokest guy in the room by like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's a great place to be, because it's a great place to learn, and try to see, okay, how'd you get to where you are? And like, they're doing exactly what I want to do, buying and selling real estate, owning real estate, or owning businesses. So it's a great place to learn. But yeah, finding where people that you would like to be like are hanging out, and what they're doing, and being a part of that is hugely beneficial. If you can find any way to do that, like, focus on that. So yeah, and then of course, being trustworthy. A lot of times, I think, especially as a newer agent, it really is a struggle, because you want to make money, and you're going to be spending a lot of time and effort making no money. So it's really hard to work on behalf of your client and not work on behalf of your commission, if that makes sense. So I think it takes, not trying to pat myself or any other agent on the back, but I do think it takes a special kind of person to be willing to, like, see money on the table and still recommend to your client that, like, hey, this actually probably isn't your best play right now. Maybe you should hold out so you get a better offer, or like there's something in the contract that shouldn't be there. Don't go for this. When, even though you could probably give them the advice that they may take, and it would be dollars in your pocket. But my mentality has always been that if you serve people properly and do respect people, and then they're going to be repeat clients. So that's, again, this is a very long-term play. This is a very long-term game. And you don't want to, be short-sighted and, take $10,000 out of a deal, and just make a deal happen and then have them never speak to you again. I'd much rather take $0,000 with the opportunity to take hundreds of thousands of dollars throughout the course of my career. So, and again, maybe this is the wrong way to go about it, because I'm not making a killing, but regardless, take that as you will. But I do think that is important, that you need to be willing to still have the best interest of your client in mind, and not just see dollar signs and be so hungry that you push something that shouldn't be pushed for. If it doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't right. Would you do that deal? Think about stuff like that. So we'll get into a little bit to marketing and sales. I know I talked about a CRM. I think that's hugely important, having a CRM. Uh, I have a bit of a marketing background. I did work for a digital marketing company, like on a contract basis, and I learned a ridiculous amount with that, and I helped do email marketing campaigns, and like, working for other businesses, helping them with their marketing. So I have at least a rough background in marketing. Again, my brokerage and my broker didn't have that experience at all. So we're kind of building marketing as we speak. So I have done some email campaigns that have been relatively fruitless, and I haven't been doing them as I should, running them through a CRM. I've literally been, like bulk sending emails. I'll get the contacts off of like Google. I'll be just like Googling, construction companies in the area. They may be interested in this property, getting a list, and then sending to that list, an email. Hey, are you interested in this property? Relatively fruitless. I've done the same thing with, like lawyers, when we have like a law office or an office that would probably be really good for like law or accounting, something like that. Still relatively fruitless, but that's not to say it doesn't work. It definitely does work. I think you just really got to keep at it. And again, learn from my mistakes. Don't do like I did. Do this better with the CRM. Track these things. Track who opens it. Do better. Learn from me. Another thing that I did was I did a mailer. So my hope and my plan, unfortunately, I wasn't and still not in a position to be able to finance a bunch of marketing, including these mailers. So for like, I think it was under $1,000. We sent like 2,000 to 2,300 mailers. My goal was to just send a mailer out saying, hey, we're Frederick Commercial, we can help, obviously just give the sales pitch. We can help entrepreneurs, business owners, whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, and just kind of introduce ourselves and get the name out in the market. What ended up happening was there was a property that my broker was really adamant that he wanted to sell, and he wanted to test the mailing campaign by just marketing one specific property. We literally didn't get a response from it at all, and then I think he just lost faith that that was at all a good idea. From my experience in marketing, it is a good idea. It can work, but it isn't the type of thing that you're going to get this turnaround and like you're going to send out one set of mailers and everybody's going to be like, hey, here's a bunch of money. That's just not going to happen. But I do think mailers are a good option, and I hope to do some videos in the future of sending out mailers and how those have performed. Some slightly unique things that I've done, marketing-wise, like I mentioned earlier, I have this kettle corn side hustle, and I sell a good bit of kettle corn now. So what I'm doing now is on every single bag of kettle corn, I do like a lot of wholesale. So on every single bag of kettle corn, I'm putting a label on the back. I'm hand stirring this kettle corn, and I'm wearing a suit in the photo, and it just says, "I'll let you know what pops up on the market." It tells a little bit about myself, and that says I'm a commercial real estate agent, and I also have a small general contracting company. If there's anything I can ever do for you, please reach out. So I started doing that like 3 months ago. People have commented and be like, man, I love this ad. Like, it's, pretty funny because I'm wearing a suit, stirring the kettle. So it grabs attention, and I really do think that's going to work. Somebody's going to call me with the amount of popcorn that, I sell, and the amount of people that have to see that ad, that are paying me $8 to see my ad. I do think that's going to work. So if you are like, getting into commercial real estate and you maybe have a side hustle or another job that you can also kind of like find a way to time together. If there's a random kettle corn and real estate agent out there, like, go for it, dude. That's a really fun, cool combination, I think. But, as far as the advertising, but yeah, if there, hopefully that just gets the gears going in your head. If there's any way that you can like tie what you're already doing and like advertise there, again, like, very dependent on your situation, because you don't want to like be working for somebody and advertise yourself as a commercial real estate agent, but just hopefully you get the gears turning. Another thing that I'm doing here, and again, this is like, well, I won't even go into that, but basically I do have a small general contracting company. Like I said, I came from commercial renovations, so I had all the skills. I took the licensing courses and got a license. I have had just a slight few small interior fit outs that I've done just through being in the commercial real estate industry. I've been able to get those. And basically I had reached out a long time ago, long story, but reached out to a radio station about doing some ads for when I was working for the other commercial renovations company, and they had talked about doing something in exchange for, doing ads in exchange for work. And then when I started the new renovation company that was my own, I reached out again and said, hey, if you ever have anything, I would be more than happy to do, work in exchange for advertisement. So I'm currently in the process of making this happen. And there is a job that they want me to do in exchange for radio ads. So hopefully I'll do like a follow-up, or I'll tell you how that went, and see if radio ads works. That's like something I'm on the fence about. But anyway, just unique styles of marketing, I think, maybe are important. But obviously just your generic, regular marketing is also super important. Having a good website and social media presence, something I really had to get over. I was like adamantly against even being on social media, like from Facebook and that type of stuff. And I really don't like the people that are constantly posting about like, oh, buy this and that for me, and so on and so forth. So it was a big hurdle for me personally to even put myself out there and say, this is what I do, and this is what I'm trying to do. So, I don't know if people are in the same boat as me, but that's how I felt. So, and I have dialed my social media in. So like I've at least said what I do. I post about it occasionally, and it has drawn business in, and people that like, it's a big thing for people to know what you're doing. How are they going to reach out to you or think about you if they don't know what you're doing? So, for me, that was a big mental hurdle that I had to jump. But since then, it's been good. And, I still need to get much better on social media, on like Facebook and Instagram and all that. Need to get way better on that. But it's all a process. So I think that's important. So another just, kind of random things, as you see, like right now I'm in a tie, button up. When I first started going in the office on a regular basis, one of the things my broker told me was like, hey, dude, you dress like a t-ball coach. I'd be wearing polos and khakis and like, casual shoes. Obviously, I'm not telling anybody how to dress, whatever. But for me, and a lot of these other people in the industry are, dressed up fairly nicely. And I think how you put yourself out there has been important. And I do think like the tone of conversation even changes. Like it may sound, kind of dumb, but I do think it's true that the tone of conversation changes when you put forward this like a more professional persona. So I do think, the way you dress and the way you carry yourself is important, especially in this commercial real estate world where, a lot of these people are, kind of on a higher level, I guess, than I'm used to, at least personally. So I think that's important to know. A couple of the skills I think that are really important to have as a commercial agent, or just as an agent in general. I think obviously networking and communication is huge. The ability to, want to help your client as opposed to helping yourself in the short term. I think that's really big. Being able to keep a cool level head, and, being able to help people understand, the benefits and that type of stuff when it comes to what they're going to get out of a deal, or what and managing their expectations before the deal is even on the table. Explaining to them what's going on in the market is hugely important. You don't want somebody, which we've had, and I'm currently having, people that have these like wildly vast expectations of what the market's going to return, when, you need to be clear and upfront and honest and say like, here's the comps, this is probably not going to happen. So, honesty is certainly important. And yeah, just really communication again, I think is a huge skill for commercial real estate. That willingness to learn is a huge thing, and really the ability to grind it out for that initial 1 to 3 years, is just hugely important. So that's gonna more or less be my final thoughts on this video. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer anything I possibly can. And if there's anything you want me to go deeper into with my experiences first year as a commercial agent, I'm more than happy to do that. But yeah, I think this is kind of the overview, and I would say the main takeaway from this is that it is a great industry. If you're interested in real estate, if if you're business minded, especially if you're numbers minded, I would say I'm not that guy that's numbers minded, but that's okay. If you are, I think this is a really, really good place to be. There is a lot of money on the table, and it's a fun industry. And if you have, yourself, if you have the personality that can deal with the ups and downs, because it's a lot of feast or famine. So if you have that kind of personality, I think this could be a really good industry. But I just, I think it's valuable to at least show people that, like, hey, you are going to be starting out. It is going to be a grind, and like there's no shortcut to knowing the people you need to know, understanding what's going on in your market, anything like that. Like, you can watch all the videos of all these gurus that are selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of real estate, and I believe I'll be there at some point, and hopefully you'll be there at some point as well. But just know that, like, as much as you want there to be, and like there's certainly things I could have done better, and I hope to improve on. Cold calling. Somewhat of a tangent, but like, definitely I need to personally be better on that. I think, maybe I could have done some deals if I would have just, cold outreached. But anyway, all things to learn and get better on, but I guess the main point is great industry. I really, really enjoy it. If you have the personality to enjoy this as well, and, be a part of your community, be a part of what's going on in your market, then this can be like a super exciting field, and that's why, like, I am definitely going to be doing this as a career. But it is important to know that, like, I would recommend it unless you find a salaried position. Have some other form of income that's going to be able to keep you, basically keep you fed, keep your bills paid while you do this gradual growth process. And then I think, you'll see, like I'm seeing, other brokers do really nice sized deals. You can do the math on what the commission is that they're making. And if you're confident that you're able to put these deals together eventually, then you're going to have a successful career, I would venture to say. So anyway, I hope this has been valuable. I really appreciate your time. Again, if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I know I shot this video before. It sounded like I was underwater in the ocean, and the audio and the video didn't line up. Sorry if this sounds like I am either speaking like as a pilot on an airplane or I'm in the ocean. I'll work on audio quality and all that, and I hope to have more videos coming up here that's going to talk more about what I'm doing in the market things, and hopefully you'll see some success. And I'm going to go into the other businesses as well, and some kettle corn related things. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.